What if the things we throw away held the secret to the most enchanting garden you've ever seen? This isn't just another DIY video, this is where stories and soil meet. Welcome to Backyard Fortune, where we bring forgotten scraps back to life with beauty, purpose, and a sprinkle of wonder. In today's episode, you'll discover 10 whimsical garden ideas, all built from reclaimed materials, designed to feel like they came from the pages of a fairy tale. We've added timestamps so you can jump to what inspires you most, and if you've got questions, just drop them in the comments. We read every one. 1. Plastic bottle bloom walls. There's something quietly magical about a wall that blooms. Not with polished tiles or painted bricks, but with life, growing, fresh, and full of intention. Somewhere in a quiet backyard in southern France, along a sun-warmed stone wall, rows of green plastic bottles have been reborn. Not as waste, but as vessels of new beginnings. Each bottle, once tossed aside, is now cut, repurposed, and arranged into a vertical cradle of thyme, mint, and pansies. The sunlight touches each leaf gently, casting soft shadows against cobblestone. A butterfly pauses, mid-flight, as if admiring the handiwork of the gardener who saw art in the ordinary. And it's not just green bottles. Step into another garden corner, perhaps in Tuscany, where pastel-painted bottles, like upside-down tulips, hang proudly on a rustic wooden frame. Lavender, basil, and even small strawberries peek out from their colorful homes. These bottles don't just grow, they celebrate. Their colors reflect the joy of reclaiming something forgotten and turning it into food, beauty, and peace. The secret? It's incredibly simple. You only need a wall, a handful of plastic bottles, and the patience to nurture. Drill a small hole, add soil, tuck in a seedling. Arrange them close enough to catch the morning light, but loose enough to let every plant breathe. Some gardeners prefer to leave the bottles clear, showing the soil, roots, and moisture like little terrariums hung in the open. Others go playful, painting them lavender, mint, and peach. Neither is wrong. What matters is the feeling it gives when you walk past them each morning with your tea or coffee, watching basil reach for the sun and marigolds turn their faces to the breeze. In a quiet Nordic village garden, there's another version. The bottles are arranged neatly against a wooden frame beside a lush blueberry bush. Each holds a pocket of life: baby lettuce, edible violets, rosemary. Birds call gently above, and everything feels purposeful. Controlled, yet wildly alive. And you, wherever you are, you can build this too. These walls don't ask for much. Just a few bottles, some sunlight, and your own rhythm. No need for perfection. In fact, the charm lies in the asymmetry. The slightly tilted planter. The bottle that catches a raindrop and lets it shimmer like crystal. The flower that insists on blooming a little too far outside the line. Over time, your bottle wall becomes more than just a DIY project. It becomes a living sculpture. A quiet rebellion against waste. A gesture of hope. Because truly, after this, you'll never see trash the same way again. Two, tin can cottage planters. Somewhere in the heart of an old European garden, where apple trees bend gently in the wind and moss creeps along cobbled paths, something unexpectedly charming comes to life. Not a statue, not a grand fountain, but a parade of tin cans, painted in pastel pinks, cheerful teals, and sunflower yellows. Each one blooming with daisies, calendulas, and clouds of baby's breath. They stand in gentle rows, like quiet guardians of the garden path, flanking a sleeping cat who's found the softest patch of sun-dappled earth for an afternoon nap. These are no ordinary planters. They were once discarded cans, perhaps from a kitchen long forgotten, transformed into vessels of joy. And the beauty of it is that anyone can do the same. Recycling doesn't always need to feel technical. Sometimes it's as simple as saving a tin, giving it a coat of paint, and planting something that makes you smile. Further along, a narrow walkway wraps around a cozy Mediterranean courtyard. On the wall, dozens of silver tin cans are adorned with lace ribbons and twine, each one planted lovingly with geraniums, ivy, and lavender. There's something inherently peaceful about the repetition, rows upon rows of flowering life, punctuated by a straw hat hanging lazily from a nail. The scent of rosemary drifts through the grapevines above, and bees hum softly in the golden light. This is a space made not for show, but for living slowly. What makes this idea special isn't just its affordability, it's the soul. You don't need to be a professional gardener or artist. All you need is intention. Wash the cans, punch a hole for drainage, and choose plants that bring you peace. Maybe a handful of herbs for cooking, or just cheerful flowers that catch your eye each morning. In the quieter corners of a Scandinavian backyard, the style shifts again. Tin cans are painted in muted greens and silvers, labeled by hand in simple white script, chives, parsley, oregano. Mounted neatly along a wooden fence, these containers feel both rustic and refined. Beneath them, wild strawberries peek from the earth, tiny white blossoms nodding in the breeze like fairy lights at ground level. Everywhere you look, the message is the same: waste can bloom. With a bit of care, with a bit of love, the everyday becomes extraordinary. These tin can planters don't try to mimic store-bought perfection. They embrace imperfection. Their dents and textures catch the light just right. Their arrangements feel like poems, not rigid blueprints, but personal expressions of beauty and purpose. And perhaps, after seeing this, you'll begin to look at your kitchen scraps or recycling bin differently. Perhaps you'll hold on to that next tin and imagine what it could hold. Not soup, not beans, but a seed, a root, a future bloom. After all, some of the most beautiful gardens are grown not with money, but with meaning. Three, clay brick garden edges. Sometimes, all it takes to shape a dream is an old brick and a bit of imagination. At sunrise in a quiet corner of rural France, where lavender spills across the morning air like a whisper, terracotta bricks lie stacked, not in piles waiting to be tossed, but in proud, geometric beds of soil and life. Radishes pop their ruby heads above the earth, lettuce opens like green roses, and marigolds glow with the golden hush of dawn. Moss clings to the brick edges, not as a flaw, but as history held gently in place. This isn't just a raised bed. It's a monument to patience, purpose, and quiet beauty. What makes clay brick borders so charming isn't just their rustic appeal, it's the way they settle into the earth as if they've always belonged. Each one reused, reclaimed, perhaps with chipped corners and lichen marks, now forming shapes that hold food, color, and fragrance. They don't scream for attention. They invite you to come closer. In a small Dutch garden, winding borders of red and cream bricks trace along soft curves like poetry written in stone. Tulips rise in clusters, their petals catching the light like stained glass. Between them, cabbages unfurl, violets bloom, and rosemary fills the space with its scent. A windmill turns slowly in the distance, and the garden path leads not just forward, but inward. toward quiet, toward care. These brick borders teach us something gentle. That order can feel organic. That structure can still feel alive. They are easy to make, perhaps easier than they look. With patience, the bricks are stacked edge to edge, hugging the contours of each flower bed. There is no need for perfection. In fact, it's the unevenness, the soft mossy corners, that make them feel like they've been there for generations. In the countryside of Germany, the layout changes again, this time a spiral. A perfect coil of terracotta rising gently from the soil, holding thyme, chamomile, and parsley. Its design isn't just aesthetic, but functional, maximizing space, capturing warmth, guiding water. Snails trail across the cracks like little gardeners, and nearby, grapevines curl around an archway. A woven basket rests in the corner, heavy with tomatoes still warm from the sun. There is a kind of quiet genius in gardens like these. They don't need big budgets or brand new tools. They need hands willing to shape, to reuse, to imagine. A pile of forgotten bricks can become a sanctuary, for plants, for pollinators, for the gardener themselves. So the next time you see an old stack of clay bricks by the roadside or buried beneath your backyard shed, don't turn away. Think instead, what could this become? Because beauty, it turns out, often hides in the discarded. And magic is most often made by those who take the time to build it with their own two hands. Four, rustic wood pallet retreats. Sometimes, what we truly need isn't more space, but a new way of seeing the space we already have. Beneath the protective arms of an old apple tree, where the branches bend like secret shelter, a quiet little corner has been transformed into the most peaceful escape. There's no marble, no expensive furniture, just old wooden pallets stacked with care and shaped by intention. Atop them rest gray cushions, a soft blanket, and small flower pots hanging like gentle smiles from the pallet slats. This place was never built for the world. It was built for you. For mornings without schedules. For quiet nights. For those moments when the rustling of leaves is more soothing than any song. And the most beautiful part? You can make it yourself. Discarded pallets are often overlooked treasures. But when gently arranged and given small touches, like hanging fairy lights or a sprig of lavender on the side, they become tiny storybook shelters. A place to pause. To read poetry. To nap beneath the trees without guilt. Elsewhere, on a sunlit Italian patio, pallets take on another role. This time, they become the perfect stage for potted plants, basil, tomatoes, strawberries. Each tier of pallet lifts the pots higher, like little stairs leading to a garden in bloom. Nearby, a pair of gardening gloves rests on the edge, and a glass of lemonade waits on a wooden crate. It's not just gardening, it's a celebration of simplicity, of light, of living with joy. And if you wander into the soft morning mist of the Irish countryside, you might find a small shed, quiet, steady, built from reclaimed boards. Some are grey, others golden, faded by time. Inside, tools hang neatly on pegs. Tiny jars of seeds sit patiently on wooden shelves. Ivy creeps slowly up the outer wall, and a robin perches on the roof, singing into the fog. This shed is more than just a storage place. It's a quiet witness to seasons past, to hands that work the earth, and to dreams planted in soil and watered with hope. Each pallet, each plank, each pot, it all tells a story. A story of how beauty doesn't need to be bought brand new. It can be shaped with what's already around us. With hands, with patience, and with a bit of faith that even the most humble corners can bloom. And that is the quiet power of upcycled gardens. They don't just transform space, they transform us. 5. Bamboo grove pathways. There's a kind of magic that happens when bamboo meets the earth. Not in towering forests, but in quiet, intentional paths that lead the eye and the soul forward. In the Austrian countryside, a garden walkway unfolds like a whispered invitation. Soft gravel crunches beneath your feet, bordered by bamboo poles, cut evenly, tied together with jute, grounded by time. Lilac blossoms scatter their petals like confetti across the stones. Solar lanterns hang gently from hooks, their warm glow rising as daylight softens. The air smells of honeysuckle and distant lemon trees. Ahead, a little gate leads toward a glasshouse bursting with vines, ripe, green, expectant. This is no ordinary path. It is a rhythm, a frame for movement. A celebration of simplicity done well. Bamboo, so often discarded or left to weather, is here given new life. It becomes a silent companion to plants and people, guiding steps without demanding attention. It hugs the curves of nature without trying to control them. And then, in a Belgian backyard that feels like a painter's dream, bamboo transforms again. This time, it's playfully arranged in sinuous lines, hugging flower beds filled with tulips, pansies, violets, and lettuce. Butterflies drift between blooms, landing where they please. A watering pot rests by a mossy stone. Every element is exactly where it wants to be, like a melody of color and texture. The bamboo doesn't separate, it connects. It holds space with grace, inviting chaos to dance with order. The idea is simple. Reuse cut bamboo as miniature fencing. Line your garden beds, curve them along pathways, shape your story into soil. Bamboo is forgiving. It can be arranged in zigzags or circles, tied with rope or gently pressed into soft ground. And with time, it ages beautifully, fading to a golden hue under the sun. Down in the hills of Portugal, the bamboo fences are smaller still, just tall enough to cradle rows of herbs and flowering vegetables beneath olive trees. The layout is precise yet unpretentious. Lavender and thyme spill over the edges, giving scent to every breath. Bees hum gently between the rows. At the end of the path, brightly painted hives sit beneath a trellis heavy with grapes. This garden is productive, yes, but it's also poetic. It proves that you don't need stone or metal to create structure. You don't need grand expense to feel elegance. You only need to listen to what the space already wants to be, and then give it just enough shape to hold that dream. So the next time you see discarded bamboo poles, don't think of them as waste. Think of them as boundary lines for beauty, as borders for your joy. Because in the quietest corners of a garden, even a simple stick can become something sacred. And that's the wonder of it all. That trash can guide, frame, and even illuminate the very path that leads us home. Six, shell mosaic accents. There's a quiet kind of wonder that emerges when we look down and realize beauty has been under our feet all along. Who would have thought that seashells, once scattered along the shoreline, forgotten after the tide, could become the very soul of a garden? In one coastal sanctuary, delicate scallop shells and tiny sea pearls have been lovingly pressed into stone discs, arranged like sacred mandalas. Each step down this path feels ceremonial, like walking into a place where stories bloom instead of flowers. The path meanders through gentle plumes of grasses and soft hydrangeas, whispering in the breeze. A small woven basket of herbs rests nearby, not just for show, but as an invitation to gather something fresh, something real. Then, somewhere far sunnier, in a Mediterranean courtyard, a pathway unfurls like a scroll of myths. Starbursts and waves made entirely from shell seem to shimmer against a mosaic of pebbles, kissed by the Grecian sun. Lavender brushes your ankles as you pass, and citrus trees lean overhead, not planted for shade, but to perfume the very air you breathe. Even the simplest pot of mint at the corner feels like a tribute to the hands that shaped every inch of this space. And in the hidden corners of a moss-covered woodland, where fairies might dwell, a ring of stones crowned with blushing pink and ivory shells encircles a bed of wild violets. They bloom gently beneath the protection of ancient trees, while nearby, a tiny door carved into a stump hints that this garden is not just alive, it might be enchanted. Here, nature and imagination dance as equals. What makes all this even more magical? You can create it. With patience. With your hands. With the bits and pieces others might toss away. Gather shells from a seaside walk, or visit a local craft source. Use a strong outdoor adhesive and clay or concrete base. Let your fingers guide the patterns, not perfection. Even a simple spiral or sunburst made from shells and pebbles can feel transcendent when placed beneath your feet. Let your garden tell a story, not just of flowers and soil, but of oceans, wanderings, and quiet beauty found in forgotten things. After all, fairy tales don't only live in books. Sometimes, they begin with a seashell, a stone, and the courage to imagine something more. Seven. Recycled fruit crate planters. There's something deeply poetic about giving old things a second chance. In the quiet heart of a sun-dappled garden, wooden fruit crates once destined for decay are now brimming with life, overflowing with strawberries, lettuces, marigolds, mint, and plump tomatoes. Once carriers of apples and citrus from forgotten orchards, these crates, marked with names like Mela di Firenze and Citrus di Napoli, have found a new purpose, stacked neatly like rustic building blocks of abundance. The scent of basil mingles with the warmth of the earth. A straw hat rests lazily on a bench, waiting for its gardener to return. Bees float lazily from flower to flower, while soft morning light paints the crates golden. This is not just gardening. It's storytelling through soil. Repurposing fruit crates as planters is more than just an eco-friendly idea. It's a whisper from the past, gently embracing the present. The slatted wood allows air to circulate, encouraging roots to breathe, while their compact form makes them ideal for patios, balconies, and cozy cottage corners. Their height offers comfort, no stooping, just reaching into a bed of herbs that practically reaches back to greet you. In another corner, perhaps against a pale stone wall in Provence, crates glow with a honey-warm patina. Nasturtiums spill over their edges like ribbons of sunlight, dancing beside cherry tomatoes that dangle like jewels. Nearby, a cat naps in the shade, while rosemary and thyme sway gently in terracotta pots. Everything here feels deliberate, handmade, and loved. And then there's the alpine variation, weathered crates suspended along a wooden fence, each one hand-labeled in elegant cursive. Spinach, mint, and dwarf blueberries nestle within, with gardening gloves hanging nearby like a painter's tools mid-masterpiece. It's tidy, practical, and infused with storybook charm. What makes this idea sing is not just the beauty, but the accessibility. You don't need a big garden. Just a crate, a bit of soil, and the courage to begin. These planters invite you to create something extraordinary from the overlooked. They are a celebration of imperfection, a return to slower joys, and proof that even the humblest things can grow into something magical. And perhaps, just perhaps, once you see it come to life, you'll never look at an old wooden crate or a forgotten corner of your garden the same way again. 8. Bottle cap garden art. They say the smallest things often carry the brightest magic. In one corner of a joyful Dutch garden, a wall becomes a canvas, and hundreds of bottle caps, once tossed aside, are reborn as sunbeams. Yellow and amber form the petals of a towering sunflower, its proud heart surrounded by the bluest bottle cap sky and fluffy white clouds. Below, the garden bursts into real-life color, tulips in perfect bloom, their roots basking in the soft laughter of spring. A watering can rests nearby like a child's toy, left behind after a morning of garden play. It's a place where art and earth dance hand in hand, and the sunlight seems to smile a little longer. And then, along a path woven with moss and memory, something catches your eye. Tiny, handmade floral tiles peek from the earth beside a cobbled walkway, each one lovingly etched with flower designs made from painted bottle caps. Bright red poppies, golden marigolds, and cobalt blue cornflowers line the edge of the garden like guardians of joy. They're quiet, they're humble, but they tell a story of care, of craft, of reclaiming beauty from what was once forgotten. Here, even trash becomes poetry under the right hands. Farther south, beneath the warm Mediterranean sky, a courtyard garden holds a different kind of treasure, a circular mosaic mandala made entirely from plastic bottle caps, every color, every size, arranged like a blooming flower of its own. It sits at the heart of a small herb and flower bed, surrounded by basil, calendula, strawberries. A wrought iron chair waits in the shade, and beside it, a woven basket of lemons glows like sun-caught gold. The whole scene feels still and sacred. And in that stillness, creativity finds its rhythm. Each of these spaces, though thousands of kilometers apart, shares a single heartbeat, a belief that wonder doesn't need to be bought, only noticed. That trash, in the right light, becomes treasure. That a handful of discarded caps can unlock a child's imagination, a grandparent's memory, or your next afternoon project. These ideas aren't just for admiration, they are for you. For your fence, your walkway, your favorite patch of soil. You don't need perfection. You need presence. Start with what you have. Let your hands move gently, and your heart lead the way. Because in gardens like these, made from scraps and dreams, we remember something important. Beauty is not about cost or convenience. It's about care. And that, dear viewer, is something anyone can grow. Nine. Herbal spiral towers. In the quiet corners of a garden, where the breeze hums through lavender and the sun gently touches the soil, something truly enchanting can take root. Not just plants, but stories, memories, and a deeper connection to the earth. Imagine stepping into your backyard and finding a spiral rising from the soil, not of steel or marble, but of humble, reclaimed bricks and broken stone, each piece telling a tale of reuse and renewal. The spiral doesn't shout, it whispers. It guides your eyes upward in slow circles, each layer alive with herbs, parsley, mint, thyme, sage. At its heart, this is not just a garden, it is a sculpture of scent and utility. The fragrance of crushed leaves lingers in the air, grounding you in the present moment. In one garden, we see the ancient rhythm of the spiral expressed through weathered bricks and warm wooden rounds, forming a tiered tower that seems plucked from a storybook. Birds tiptoe along the path, butterflies flirt with rosemary sprigs, and the tower stands quietly proud, a symbol of what can be done with care, a little time, and the materials you already have. It feels as though the earth itself dreamed it into being. In another, tucked within a vibrant French-style garden, the spiral takes on elegance, made from upcycled green wine bottles cradled in natural stone. Each bottle now cradles basil, oregano, lavender, chervil, their green arms reaching toward the sun. A small sign reads Mon Petit Jardin, but there is nothing small about the feeling this brings. It is a celebration of life, abundant, edible, and alive with personality. This tower doesn't just grow herbs, it gathers charm. Then, in a quiet greenhouse corner, the spiral becomes something more delicate, almost ceremonial. Layers of bamboo frame vintage ceramic tiles, their patterns softened by moss creeping along the base. Lemongrass reaches tall at the peak, while coriander, chamomile, and mint spill gently over the edges. A copper watering can waits nearby like a trusted companion, and driftwood at the foot feels like a natural offering. This is not just a garden, it's a sacred space, perfect for tea and thought. What these spiral towers teach us, more than planting or decorating, is that space, no matter how small, can be transformed. That materials destined for the bin can become vessels of beauty and life. That something as ordinary as an old brick or forgotten bottle can become the foundation of something extraordinary. So let your creativity spiral. Whether you have a garden or only a corner on your balcony, these herb towers can rise from almost anything you already have. Build slowly. Let the structure follow the rhythm of your hands. Let your herbs follow the path of the sun. And when you water them, do it slowly, like you're blessing the soil. Because in a world that moves too fast, gardens like these remind us to slow down, to nurture, and to never see trash or time the same way again. Wishing well composters. In a world where fairy tales bloom from everyday soil, some gardens hold secrets hidden in plain sight. Imagine strolling through a peaceful backyard, where leafy greens and rich soil hum softly with life. At first glance, it looks like a simple wishing well, weathered wood, bricks softened by time, a bucket gently swaying under its shingled roof. But lean a little closer, and you'll discover that this well doesn't grant wishes, it grows them. Underneath its quaint structure lies a cleverly disguised compost bin, quietly transforming garden waste into the richest of soil. These wishing well composters blend rustic beauty with ecological brilliance. Whether it's made from reclaimed red bricks, creamy garden stone, or old wooden slats touched by moss, each one adds a poetic presence to your garden. They feel like they've always been there, grown from the land itself, nestled among rows of romaine and basil or lavender and wild thyme. You'll notice the details if you slow down. Ivy climbs gently up the side. A weathered crank spins quietly beside boots left behind by a gardener who knows the value of waiting. Sometimes a sign hangs above, Compost de vie, the compost of life. It's not just decorative. It's purposeful. Layers of peelings, leaves, and clippings slowly turn into nourishment, hidden in plain sight. And yet, they ask for very little. Just patience. Just care. Just the willingness to see beauty in the cycle of decay and rebirth. The beauty of this idea is its accessibility. These aren't expensive installations. With a few salvaged planks, a barrel's worth of bricks, and some simple tools, anyone can craft a composter like this. The only thing you'll need more of is imagination. You don't need a huge plot. Just a corner of your yard or a patch of shared earth. These wells bring magic not only to the soil, but to the spirit of the place, turning chores into rituals and composting into an act of quiet joy. Because when function wears the costume of storybook charm, the ordinary becomes something unforgettable. You'll never see compost, or trash, the same way again. If this video sparked your imagination, let it grow. Hit that like button to help this little garden of a channel reach more dreamers like you. Subscribe if you believe in second chances, for trash, for gardens, and maybe for your creativity too. And remember, the most magical gardens aren't bought. They are built, one idea, one seed, one story at a time.